This question was asking you to describe the working memory model. So you need to describe all the different parts of the working memory model. I've just pasted those in so I can go through it all bit by bit. So this model was proposed by Baddeley and H. I don't actually think you need to put this, but we'll stick it in anyway. So Baddeley and H suggested short-term memory was a non-unitary active processor that consisted of the central executive, two slave systems, and the episodic buffer. All the different components of it. What I might do is put in brackets what they are, just to keep it really short, otherwise this can get really long. So essentially this is what the central executive is doing. It's kind of like allocating, you know, dividing attention, controlling the flow of information, performing cognitive tasks. So you kind of need to summarize that. So the central executive allocates information to the slave systems. It is responsible for reasoning, and I'm not typing properly. And what was the other one? Get rid of that. What am I doing? So essentially executives. So the short-term memory is not essential. I'm just trying to collate all the information about these in like one place. You can just like add it all in. But then I'm worried now, not worried, I'm concerned about the way that I've done it, because I'm putting too many brackets in and I should have just done it like this is this one and then this is this one, but let's see. Allocate essentially the two Marriage with it that consisted, I should say consist, executive, 2 slave systems. What I might do is get rid of that. The episodic buffer, and then I'll put the visual sketchpad is referred to as the inner eye that creates visual representative as it limits capacity. The phonological group is referred to as the ear and inner voice. Now, actually, I'm probably going into a bit more detail than what is needed, because you can actually get all the marks from mentioning what I've mentioned so far and not actually referring to kind of like capacity and duration. So here the duration of the phonological loop, and then the kind of capacity of the visual spatial sketchpad. You could get away with not putting those in, but obviously it's better to put them in. If you did it as a 16 marker, then you would need to go into this level of detail to explain the working memory model. And actually it does state that you don't necessarily need to put on the episodic buffer because it was added later on. So you can get away with not putting that on your answer. You can also mention about the allocation of resources and kind of like divided attention and Baddeley's kind of experiments into that. But again, you don't really need to, because you can get the 4 marks by just putting the first bit. I will add the episodic buffer on just so that you can see kind of how to word it, and then that'll be like the full answer. So the episodic buffer was added later as a storage system for the central. I'm just going to put in brackets here so that I can do that. My computer's like being really weird. It's freezing. Okay, I'll just write it in full. Don't worry about it, computer. I think that's it then. So there we go, I'll read it out in full for you. So Bagley and Hitch suggested that the short-term memory was a non-unitary active process that consists of the central executive, which allocates information to the slave systems and is responsible for reason and decision-making, has a limited capacity and modality-free, two slave systems, the visual spatial sketchpad and the phonological loop, and the episodic buffer. The visual spatial sketchpad is referred to as the inner eye that creates visual representation of environments and has limited capacity of 3 to 4 items. The phonological loop is referred to as the inner ear, passive store of words heard, and inner voice allows articulatory process, I know I said that wrong, maintenance rehearsal, and is responsible for converting written words into spoken when reading and is limited, oh no, actually I'll get rid of that, and is limited to 2 seconds, and the episodic buffer was added later as a storage system for the central executive for things such as recording events as they are happening, and so is modality free and has a limited capacity of 4 chunks of information. So there you go, that would be enough. I've kind of separated that out into 4 points, but I think technically you get 2 marks for just that. It's banded, this question, so the band says description of the working model is evident but lacks clarity and or detail. The answer as a whole is not clearly expressed and terminology is either absent or inappropriately used, so you could technically get 2 marks just for writing that, which is crazy, but there you go. But you do need to kind of put more detail in to get into that top band, so you can probably get 4 with just that bit, but if you want to, you know, if you've got time or whatever, you might as well add it on. So there you are.